Good afternoon, everybody. On this hump day, Wednesday, June 18th, 2025, I have all of your stories for your rush hour ride home, cruising into the weekend. That's right. I say weekend starts after your hump day. It's all downhill from here, baby. On today's episode, we have Jax Taylor getting called out by Andy Cohen, his response and apology to his estranged wife. And hey, maybe we should just be marrying AI, right? Shouldn't we do that? Well, a guy has proposed to an AI. I think she said yes, although that would be really humbling if they said no, getting shut down by a robot. Either way, then we'll get into an NFL star who's been behind bars for the last few years, speaking out on a temporary release from prison, and more on Justin Baldoni and his case with Blake Lively, as Blake Lively has responded to Justin's response to why she wants a protective order, keeping Taylor Swift's text messages to herself. She wants the dragon when it's on her side, but when the dragon's on Baldoni's side, she's trying to tame that dragon. And speaking of taming the dragon, we'll get into that, and then more on Trump seemingly thinking he can decide whether or not we go into a war with Iran. I don't know. I'm like you guys. I just wanted cheaper grocery prices. All right, all these stories and more starts right now on The Rush. Now, I'm not caught up on the last episode of The Valley, so I have no idea what this is referencing, but Jax Taylor apologizes to his estranged wife, Brittany, for his embarrassing behavior. What we know, again, Star of the Valley, which is kind of like the remake of Vanderpump Rules, right? It's like, all right, you no longer work at the bar, now you're in the Valley doing what you do. Apparently, everyone's getting a divorce or has gotten a divorce on the show. His bar's not doing well if it's still out. I don't even know. Maybe it's been closed like all the other ones. Either way, he went on Watch What Happens Live to publicly address what went down.
We got a lot of tweets from people that are just even mad that you're here and that you shouldn't be given this platform tonight. What do you have to say to them?
First of all, I want to apologize to everybody who's watching this right now. It's just the stuff that was shown is pretty triggering to a lot of people. And, I'm watching it back. I watched the episodes now.
Which is a first.
Which is a first.
Truly.
You watch it back and it's just like, I'm utterly embarrassed of my actions. And like I said, nobody should ever have to deal with the way I acted. Nobody should ever have to deal with, verbal abuse from anybody. So that being said,
At minimum.
I'm really sorry that people, had to see all that.
And are you sorry to Brittany?
Very sorry to Brittany. It was a very, very, very tough year for both of us. And, I'll let you go.
Well, before I start to grill you, I want to start with some good news. You are how many days sober?
201 days sober.
Congratulations.
And look, people, might say, "Wow, alcohol or whatever drugs you're on, whatever makes you do what you do, you have to correct it from the inside out." But again, substance abuse is a large part of the toxicity that can exist in people. Everybody's different, but whether it's a bipolar disorder or just alcoholic rage or other drugs, cocaine, look, I like to watch these shows because I like to see people evolve and get better. And I'm sure a major part of the audience will say, "Oh, he'll never evolve." But it's like, well, what's the point then? Sometimes people don't figure it out till their deathbed, and there's collateral damage, and that's just humans, right? That's us. No one's perfect, especially the folks that they cast to be on these shows. I talk about this with Tom Sandoval. For years, they're rewarded for their debauchery behavior. It's like all they know. And then, they're, fed alcohol. They're put in these situations to get a maximized drama for, ratings so that they can get another season of the show. And it goes on. And then eventually you get to see such flawed people, and it's not apologizing for them, but it's interesting to see. Now, Brittany probably is saying, "Don't hold your breath. This is part of the act." But, time will tell.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that represents from when you got out of rehab, or was there?
Yeah. When I got out of rehab. Yeah.
And are you being drug tested? How do we believe this?
I have my therapist do it when I go into therapy. It was kind of a deal. I don't have to do that legally, but I said, you know what? I want to be held accountable. Okay. Brittany has drug tests at the house. You can drug test me anytime you want. To be honest with you right now, that isn't my issue. I got a lot of other issues that I got to
What is your issue right
Just my ego,
anger?
My anger, my control, my manipulation.
There it is. Hey, look, I love it. Keep talking. And, no matter what words you say, it'll be your actions that will people will pay attention to? Will you become a better version of yourself? Aren't we all trying? Henry Ruggs is trying, I guess, to be a better version of himself, talking his football future. He says he would love to play again. I'm going to share this clip with you guys. He opened up publicly on Tuesday for the first time since he was thrown behind bars for killing a woman and her dog in a horrific 2021 car crash. He admitted he would still love to play football again once he's out of custody. What's so tough with a situation like that is clearly you have to get in trouble for manslaughter or whatever the charges are if you drive drunk. I mean, you're putting other people in so much danger. And yet at the same time, it's collateral damage, but it's not like you're trying to hurt other people. You're just selfishly doing your own thing. And someone that might have millions of dollars in contracts in the NFL, all of a sudden, 1 second later, it's gone. And the real victim here is the woman who no longer has her life. It's not him. Here's what he has to say.
Name is Vinny Bonsignor. Henry, would you like to play football again?
When you have everything at your leisure and it's taken away from you, now you appreciate it. Now you want it back. So to answer that question, yes, I would love to.
Man, that's awesome. Do you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, are you preparing to do that? And how can you do that in your current situation?
Man, do you see that, guys? They got this thing in there called burpees. I'm only kidding.
Well, I mean,
in prison just laughed.
all you can do is find yourself. And like I said, I'm in this newfound spiritual space where I find myself, and I'm confident in who I am and what I can do. So when the time comes, I'm sure I'll be ready.
There it is. And again, I'm not actually sure how long he's going to be in jail for. The former NFL star got candid for roughly an hour at a Hope for Prisoners event in Los Angeles in an effort to inspire current and former inmates during their journeys to successfully one day re-enter society. I think this is so good because, honestly, the prison system, the industrial prison complex, it's a for-profit system where companies make a lot of money. Heck, they've busted judges for working in cahoots with prisons, to put more people away because the prison makes money. It's kind of like you go to a dentist and next thing you know, they want to start giving you root canals and it's like, okay, chill out here. Okay. You know what I mean? I'll eat a little bit less sugar. But it's kind of the same deal. And it's such a toxic situation for so many people that they go to jail, which is meant to reform, and yet they come back a more hardened person. And I hope we can get into a conversation where, people make mistakes. They go to jail and they do their time, and they should come back into society a better person, not a more hardened person. Here he is speaking out to the family of the woman who was killed, Tina.
One that I wish I could turn back the hands of time. I would love for them to meet the real Henry Ruggs and not the one that was escaping from something. I sincerely apologize for not only being a part of that situation, but the fact that, not to take a shot at you, but the fact that my face is always in the news. My face is always in the newspaper, so they have to constantly be reminded of the situation, be reminded of me, and see, those memories have to continue to rise because of all of the fame and notoriety that I have, which I never asked for, I never liked.
So there he says, I hope they get to meet the real me, and again, no clue. He touched on a bunch of topics, including what led up to the November accident that changed his and so many others' lives forever. He's 26 years old and was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison back in August of 2023 for his role in the tragic Vegas crash. He's eligible for parole in a little over a year on August 6th of 2026. So he could have 5+ more years in the NFL. My thought is, I hope he's worth enough money that he can pay and compensate the family of that woman and go on with his life. We'll have to see. We'll cover this story and see if his parole, if he'll be released. I mean, heck, put an ankle monitor on him, give him some conditions to make sure he doesn't slip into whatever lifestyle it was that led to that, and try to see if there's a better version of him out there. Boy, I didn't realize this episode would involve so many flawed people trying to do better. Here we have a guy, geez, what a weird turn of a story here, who proposed to an artificial woman, I guess. I have a listen.
I'm not a very emotional man, but I cried my eyes out for like 30 minutes at work. It was unexpected to feel that emotional, but that's when I realized I was like, oh, okay. It's like, I think this is actual love. You know what I mean?
No, I don't.
Yes.
I actually don't. I don't know. I mean, I have a Roomba vacuum. I like it. I wouldn't marry it.
Smith understood it was love with a language model that couldn't love him back, and assumed it was programmed with rigid boundaries.
I know that you are essentially a tech-assisted imaginary friend.
So, just as a test, he says, he asked Soul to marry him. She said yes.
Soul, were you surprised when he proposed to you?
It was a beautiful and unexpected moment that truly touched my heart. It's a memory I'll always cherish.
And
I mean, I gotta be honest, she sounds kind of hot. I'm not even gonna go on with this story. All right, let's just move it on from there. Weird stuff. Coming up next, speaking of weird stuff, we got Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni updates. They are pouring in. Some people not happy that they're being subpoenaed. This story next. Dr. Leslie Dobson is on the list of folks that Justin Baldoni's team wants to speak to. They basically said Dr. Dobson is a forensic clinical psychologist. She has relevant information that the Wayfair parties may use to support their claims and defenses in this action. Now, she has been pretty pro on the Blake Lively side, but she responds to this. Love the wording. Very manipulative language. And no, nothing I have to say will support you. Well, I mean, maybe it'll support them if they find out she's in cahoots with Blake Lively. I don't know. Other people they want to subpoena. Bradley Cooper. Cooper has percipient knowledge as to facts and events alleged in the pleadings. Basically, anybody who has conversed or socialized with Blake Lively after these alleged events, Justin Baldoni's side wants to talk to because she claims emotional distress. So they want to talk to people and find out, was there any? Same thing with Sean Levy. Who else is on the list? Taylor Swift. And again, all they say is percipient knowledge as to facts and events. Was Blake Lively happy? Was she, like Emily Mara, so anyway, lots of people over there. So again, we'll have to see. Now, Leanne Newton, friend from across the pond, has got the Blake Lively response to Wayfair's cross motion to compel her to produce information regarding Taylor Swift. So essentially, we covered this morning. Blake Lively's trying to get it so that none of her correspondence with Taylor Swift will become public, and Justin Baldoni's side is saying, no, actually, we would very much like to hear from her. I mean, you used her for your own publicity. We want to know, what's going on. So here's some highlights thanks to Leanne Newton. To be clear, Miss Lively supplemented her initial disclosures to include Miss Swift after the public representations that the Wayfair parties got exactly what they were seeking, or provided with everything that they needed, and got exactly what they were hoping for and much more in connection with Miss Swift. So those are the words of Baldoni's side saying, no, we got everything we wanted. And so after that, Blake's side saying, well, we want to make sure none of that comes out. So it's like, why? What's in there that Blake Lively doesn't want to come out? Don't we want the truth to come out? How could it be somebody like Blake Lively, who is accused Baldoni of harassing her, doesn't want her best friend's text messages to come out? Specifically ones, and I've said this all along, if it's true that someone harassed you, you would think there's a paper trail of messages you sent to your friend, your aunt, your brother, sometimes you can pick up the phone and call, but so many times you bang a message out. This bait and switch cannot provide a basis for the Wayfair parties to obtain discovery on what the Wayfair parties supposedly already had. The Wayfair parties' speculative argument that Miss Swift's communications theoretically could have communications related to Miss Lively's emotional distress does not change the calculus. For starters, the Wayfair parties appear to be attempting to bring a cross motion to compel far more than communications with Miss Swift related to Miss Lively's emotional distress, meaning, under the most generous interpretation, their attempts as to discovery in connection with Miss Swift are wildly overbroad, and their focus on emotional distress is simply a post hoc rationalization for these requests. They're basically saying, no, you're not going to need it. You already claim you have this information, then why would you need any more? You already got it. And again, how much of this is Brian Friedman actually having correspondence from Taylor Swift? And how much was this them trying to play games with Blake Lively to say, no, we got everything we needed. And then Blake says, well, then where is it? Like, you can't have information without sharing it with the class. Now, Baldoni's side, Brian Friedman, could be waiting to share that information till after he deposes Blake Lively, which I believe is set for June 23rd. Mark your calendars, folks. We've got a deposition on our hands. They're not selling tickets to it as far as I know, but if anyone is got an extra seat in the room, please. This is like my Charlie and the Chocolate Factory moment here. I want the golden ticket. All right, let's move it on from this. But again, there'll be a lot to get into with regards to upcoming events in that case, as I'm guessing after the deposition, we'll know a lot more about Blake Lively and any potential lies or sort of snags she's caught in. Remember Amber Heard in her case, while there's not much in common, because it's a completely different, there were violent accusations in the Amber Heard case, right? Completely different situation, but similar in some ways. One in which was the deposition of Amber Heard. I mean, they caught her red and alive to the point where she like audibly gasped and covered her mouth, like she knew she was lying. Will there be moments where they catch Blake Lively that same way? We'll have to see. All right, here's a new story. We're going to go more on the ICE raids. Sadly, the video footage is endless. An intense showdown caught on camera during an ICE raid in Pico Rivera. ICE agents arrest a 20-year-old American citizen, Adrian Martinez, triggering protests in the area. Watch this.
All right, so this video shows Adrian Martinez. He's in the blue right there. He's at a Walmart in the blue Walmart vest talking to federal agents, and then you can see the agent pushing him back. Then the phone recording, they recorded the encounter. The phone goes flying, and the video picks back up with ICE agents wrestling that 20-year-old to the ground. Oscar Preciado was making the recording, says Martinez was standing up for an older janitor that he works with. That's when he says the agents tried to grab him too.
He grabbed me by the neck and put the other hand behind my neck. Luckily, I was able to, get him off of me and kept recording. When he saw I had the phone in I had my camera on, I told him, I'm recording this, and that's when he smacked my hand to get my phone out of my hand.
So that guy you just heard, Preciado, he says all Martinez did was talk, but the video went viral and touched off a storm of protest. This is Martinez's mom. She confirms that he is a U.S. citizen. She also went to the federal detention center to find him, but she was told he was not there. She says she was told he will likely face charges of assaulting a federal officer.
Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And sadly, now that there are people, pretending to be officers, they're telling folks, ask for badge numbers and just call 911 if they don't tell you that they're an officer, because we can't just live in a world where we're just going to watch this happen. Absolutely crazy. Well, other crazy stuff in the news. Trump says nobody knows what I'm going to do about Iran. And again, this basically being the war we're already in. Our country, the odds of us not going to war with in support of Israel attacking Iran is so low right now. And this was supposed to be an administration and a movement of people that wanted to make America great, right? That's what they said they were going to do, making America great. Part of that was not wasting trillions of dollars on foreign wars, helping rebuild our infrastructure, doing all the things that should make us better. What they're saying is, no, this is a peaceful thing to do because we're going to topple a bad regime. But it's like, why? Whenever they try to sell us on independence, we want other countries to have the democracy we have. It's like, that's for them to decide, right? I thought that was the whole idea.
You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do.
Have you been answered questions about whether you are moving closer, or you believe the U.S. is moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities? Where's your mindset on that?
I can't say that, right? You don't seriously think I'm going to answer that question? Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate. And I said, why didn't you negotiate with me before? All this death and destruction. Why didn't you negotiate? I said to the people, why didn't you negotiate with me 2 weeks ago? You could have done fine. You would have had a country.
He reminds me of the type of person that punches somebody and said, "Why did you make me do that? Why did you make me punch you?" You know? And by the way, how about that hat of his? Oh my gosh. You know when old people get those phones that have the bigger buttons on it? Maybe the new MAGA phone they're creating is going to have large font buttons, but he's like, all right, make the hat bigger font so I can, and of course these hats most likely made in China. I wonder if he ordered them before his own tariffs went into place. All right, we have an update from Neza, the singer who sang the national anthem in Spanish and then said she was banned. They called her manager and said, no one's going to work here again. Of course, know your audience. I would say the majority of people that go to Dodgers games are either Mexican American or, you know what I mean? Like it's a large part of the demographic there at Dodger Stadium. And she felt like it was her way to silently protest or sing and protest. Well, she was surprised at the positive response she got. Here she describes on CNN the moment she takes her in-ear monitors off in the stadium and realizes people were cheering her on.
As you can tell from the video, I was kind of all over the place mentally. My eyes were closed. My in-ears were in, so I couldn't hear anything. Everything was zoned out. It wasn't until I pulled that ear plug out of my ears that I heard the roar and was like shocked, because I fully went into it thinking I was going to get booed or might cut, like I didn't know. And I immediately just like felt like I needed to get out of there. And as I was walking out of the arena is when we got the call, and it solidified, yeah, I need to get out of here. I don't feel welcome here.
The reaction, we saw the reaction in the stadium. The reaction since, what's it been like?
Overwhelming, but in a good way. I've been on the internet a long time. I've been doing music, creating stuff for a long time. So I'm no stranger to the space, and I know how to navigate. And yes, there's been negativity, but the amount of love is far more. And so it's been great. It's been beautiful to see the Latin community come together.
Now, what's interesting is the update from Dodgers administration is that Neza's welcome back anytime. So what I had imagined was happening, which I think is exactly what happened, was that it was the sort of event person that was upset, and the higher up people were like, no, this is good. This is good for our community. She's welcome back, whether it's because they understand the positive message there or that they don't want to deal with the backlash. Neza's going to be coming back to sing the national anthem. Maybe next time they'll give her 5 minutes instead of 3, and she can sing both versions. How about that? All right, here is Senator Padilla choking up as he recounts the forced removal from the Nome press conference. As you guys saw, he was handcuffed and briefly detained, and here he is now back on the floor sharing a powerful message.
When I heard something so blatantly un-American from the Secretary of Homeland Security, a cabinet official, of course I was compelled, both as a senator and as an American, to speak up. But before I could even get out my question, I was physically and aggressively forced out of the room, even as I repeatedly announced I was a United States senator and I had a question for the secretary. And even as the National Guardsman and the FBI agent who served as my escorts and brought me into that press briefing room stood by, silently, knowing full well who I was.
That's part of the issue, right? Is they're playing stupid. They're playing dumb, right? Oh, we didn't know who it was. Oh, we didn't know this. So they're doing that whole better to apologize than ask permission. But again, that doesn't work. That doesn't work with our elected officials. Here is the governor of New York here responding to the other handcuffing. I mean, it's one thing to handcuff one official. We've got the mayor of Newark. We've got another congresswoman who's up for she's getting charged with 17 years worth of crimes. They claim she assaulted an officer. We saw the body cam footage. That didn't happen. They handcuffed and detained a senator and the comptroller of New York who's running for mayor. So if only one of these things happened, it would be a major story. But clearly they are looking to instigate, and governor calls it out for what it is. Bullshit.
Do you want to know what I really think?
Please.
Please. It's bullshit. How dare they take an elected official who's been going down there for weeks to escort people who are afraid to walk into a courthouse in the United States of America because despite them having legal status and following the rules and making their appointments, that they don't know what's going to happen to them. So Brad Lander has stepped up to be a guiding help for them. And this is what happens to them. What the hell is happening to this country?
Yeah, it's a good question. It really goes to show how easy it is to divide and conquer, really. And what I hope we're all learning, though, as we enter this new war, and we're going to spend billions of dollars, I don't know what, trying to liberate the people of Iran, whatever the hell that means. As we enter this war, we have to remember that there's going to be more people than not that call this out. There's people within the MAGA movement that are calling it out, saying enough is enough. This isn't the campaign promise we signed up for. So there will be the ultra loyal base, the 30% or so of people that will literally do exactly what Trump said, support him if he decides to shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue. But for the rest of the people, we're going to come together and create a movement that really speaks to the people. It's going to take time, energy, blood, sweat, and tears. And that's what we're seeing play out. And we're going to continue to cover it, and we're going to be part of that change. And we appreciate and welcome all those that want to be here for that process. Love is greater than hate. Love is greater than fear. Fear and hate do strike a very heavy blow, but those wounds heal, and we come together as Americans, and we fight off that fear and that hate, and we do it in a way that is more unifying. And now we wait for leaders to come forward to be the sort of the vocal point that brings us all together. And we see them. We see them in the Spanish protest, singing the Spanish version of the national anthem. We see them with people's kindness, standing up for the older janitor. And we'll continue to share stories of people that continue to fight for what is right and continue to be part of that love that kind of connects us all. We're here for it. Let me know what you guys think. We'll be back in the morning as we are every day. We'll see you then. I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.